Alright, if you're a runner, you know you need to stretch, and hopefully if you're watching this video, you already stretched, you're just looking to be better at it. If you're not stretching, hopefully this can convince you that you should, and it's going to reduce injuries, you're just going to feel better. I think it actually helps you run better. But anyways, we're really talking about like how to stretch properly. I'm a certified yoga teacher. I spent hundreds of hours in my certification going over the body and how it's connected and different poses and the good and bad form of poses. And so we have to talk about stretching properly. And I want to hit a couple points so that, one, you're not injuring yourself when you're stretching, because the point of stretching is to reduce injury and feel better. So if you're hurting yourself with stretching, that is an issue, and we need to stop that. But two, just be more efficient and effective with your stretching so you don't have to do as much, if you will. So one of the things that we need to talk about is the intensity of your stretching. Now, with yoga, there is different types of yoga. There's, yin, there's vinyasa, there's kundalini, and the stretching I think is personally the best, especially with runners who are high intensity. If you like your hot yoga classes, you should keep doing them, but I like yin yoga, and so I would go look up yin yoga YouTube classes, but the point from yin is you're finding this edge and you're not really pushing or pulling and you're just holding the pose like in a static position. So with a lot of like yoga flows, you're moving and that's still going to be good and you're still going to stretch things out. For me, running and lifting weights is so intense already that I don't need a whole lot more, or I don't need an intense yoga class personally. I don't want it. I want to be able to relax through my stretching. And so going back to the intensity point, a lot of people pull and push really hard with their stretching, and you're at a potential risk of hurting yourself or tearing something or just going too far. And so, for example, if you are doing like a forward fold where you're standing up and you're trying to touch your toes and you're just pulling and pushing and your back's all rounded and messed up, that's not healthy in my opinion. And what would be better is if you get a block or you have a stool that you can touch, and what you do is you rotate your pelvis forward and you make sure you have a flat back as you're stretching down. So that's just one example of many examples of stretching and how people do it wrong. But one of the biggest things I see, especially when you're stretching your legs, is people round through their low back, and that's potentially just going to hurt you more. And so I think it's important that you have as much of a flat back as possible, and then you move forward with whatever stretch you're trying to do, and you don't pull. So again, yin is you just kind of holding that edge, and this is the key point that I wanted to make, is you breathe through the stretch. And it's a very interesting sensation when you really focus on this, because I remember when I first started doing yoga, it was like, oh, breathe through the stretch. And I was like, what the hell does that even mean? But when you breathe, and you're like holding a pose, and you breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth, or however you're breathing, I swear to God, I can actually feel like my muscles relaxing and just kind of like just not being as intense and tight. Like when you breathe through it, what that means is you're focusing on the spot that you're stretching, and you breathe into that spot. It's kind of a weird thing, but once I started doing this, I feel like my stretching is more efficient. I don't have to do as much, and I think I'm getting more flexible faster than when you're pulling. Because think about it this way. If you're tight, and that's why you're stretching, and you're pulling and pushing through a stretch, you're just actually being more tight. Like you might feel something, but then you're tightening out other parts of your body. And when it comes to stretching, I think it's really important that you relax through it. You breathe, you get just to that edge, and then you relax instead of like pushing, pulling, going too far with things, because you can hurt yourself, and also it makes it less enjoyable for me. I'd rather just be able to sit there, hold a pose, and then notice a dramatic difference after a yoga session. Or even if you're doing stretching for 5 to 10 minutes, if you've watched my videos in the past, you know I say I'd rather you cut half a mile off of your run so you can spend that time stretching if you're not stretching at all. You should make time for both, but people love the I don't have time excuse. And so you just gotta make that time. So if you run a little less on your runs, you have time for stretching. And so I stretch after every single run, maybe 5, maybe 10 minutes most days. So anywhere from like 5 to 10 minutes of stretching after every single run goes a long way. But I'm doing my best to do these things I'm talking about during that 5 to 10 minute stretching session. Because with yoga, it's pretty easy to get in that zone, especially if you have a yoga teacher that's kind of like guiding you through it. But when you're just kind of stretching for a couple minutes, sometimes they forget to relax, like I'm trying to get ready for work or whatever. And so it's important to do the same things then, where you find that edge, you relax, you have good posture and form. And if you ever have questions about good form for certain stretches, quick Google or YouTube search, what's good form for, a quad stretch or whatever it is. And I think that'll help you go a long way. So to summarize all this key points, you should find that edge, not push and pull, but just find that spot where you feel the stretch and relax into it. And then you should have good form while you're doing that, but also breathing through the stretch. And I think you'll find that interesting when you actually do it, because I thought it was the weirdest thing, but when I started breathing into the spot and stretching, I could notice a difference, and I thought that was really interesting. Plus, I mean, breathing's so good for you. So to spend a couple minutes just deeply, with deep breathing, it's going to reduce stress, anxiety, etc. So hopefully you got something out of this. If you like this type of content, my channel's about running, consider subscribing. But if not, I still hope you got something out of this video, and I hope we get to see you in another video sometime soon. Peace.